My name is Gordon Gregoric. I was born in Croatia, but I live in New Jersey. I teach at a college in New Jersey, and in my spare time, I work with Legos. This building was built over 3.5 years. It contains 165,000 pieces, and it is a replica of a post office building in the city of Osijek in Croatia. The real building was built about 100 years ago. It opened in 1912, and it was a post office building as well as a communication center. Namely, it had a telephone exchange and a telegraph exchange. It's built in the Art Nouveau style of the time. It was part of Austria-Hungary then. And in a sense, if you look at the side walls, they are relatively plain for that time. Namely, some of the art historians are calling them the proto-modern sides. But the roof is really the most developed part of the building, with the gables and the flying buttresses and dormers. One interesting thing is that the separation between the last floor, the fourth floor, and the roof is really only on the outside. Inside the building, this whole area is 1 story, and it is as high as it is because the old-fashioned telephone exchange equipment was so large that it had to fit into this high space. And one reason for the dormers is to provide more lighting for this equipment.
So what made you want to build this building? What is the special significance to you?
Really, in one sense, to be able to get some of the curved parts of it, curves around the windows, on the roof here, or really on the gables, and I wanted to be able to get these curves by using the curved bricks as opposed to have the jagged edges. So I wanted to show it so it doesn't look like it's made of Legos. It looks, in a sense, real. And that defined the scale. So to be able to get these round edges around the windows, that made the scale be 1:24. And as a reference, a Lego minifigure scale is about 1:35. So this is significantly larger than the Lego minifig scale.
And is this even bigger than like mini land scale?
Not quite bigger than that, but close to its size. Miniland is about 1:20 or 1:18.
Very cool, very cool. So you mentioned you kind of start with a little bit of a detail and sort of extrapolate from that. Once you sort of pick like a little bit of it to sort of render out in Lego, how do you continue your process? What does the kind of design process look like for you?
I don't use any CAD programs and pretty much design using individual bricks and really go, as old-fashioned as it may sound, from the ground up. I just do one segment, one step at a time. It's really the background or the back side of all the segments. That's where you need to have the structural strength to support them. Then the front is all the aesthetics. And then on top of both of those things come what I call the logistics, and that is to say packing, just segmenting the building right. And in this one, actually, I was lucky in a sense to have enough different sections of the walls that were natural segments. So
you didn't have to subdivide it like unnaturally.
Right, exactly. So yes.
And so it breaks down for transit in like panels? How does that work?
It breaks down into panels, and there are about 80 large segments and some smaller ones, parts of the roof. So roughly maybe even about 100 or so pieces. It separates into all of them, and then it packs into about 20 boxes.
And this allows you to transport it from New Jersey, you said, here to Chicago.
Yes, it rode for 14 hours in the U-Haul van, and it came out pretty much, I would give it an A- for transport. So
no major breakage?
No major breakage.
Awesome, no. Awesome. And so we pointed out some wonderful details in the flying buttresses. Do you want to walk us through and maybe give us a taste of some of your favorite little bits of the build?
Parts? Sure. Okay, well, let's start with the entrance. Entrance was the most demanding part to build because it's most curvilinear, and it is the one part of the building which art historians say resembles Gaudí, his buildings in Spain.
So this is like almost like a sculpted concrete type of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Very nice.
very much intricate, and that was in a sense the most difficult thing to get in Lego, especially this top part. On the other hand, the columns were pretty much there. With this scale, I was able to get the right brick, so I was able to get all of those curves. And then moving from there, you have the ground floor, and basically the ground floor and the first floor, they have these ribs, the little lines in between on the facade. And the upper floors, the facade is completely smooth, so that's one difference. Basically, again, not too many ornaments. Some, I think they call them cassettes, these indentations underneath the windows. So they are present on all the floors. And basically, the architect had the most playful segments were left for the roof of the building. The roof has gables, and really it's the central section above the entrance which is most intricate, with the triple gables and then the towers above here, and also the rounded windows. By the way, these rounded windows were also one thing that defined the scale. I wanted to use the Lego arches, so to have the real round shapes. And what's really kind of nice in them, and that was actually one of the first things that made me think about building the building, was when you see these particular windows and then the frames of the glass behind them, I could see how that could really kind of show nicely in Lego with the tiles, with the white tiles here, and then in this, central one, the whole square. So in this scale, I was able to make all of those.
Definitely. Now, this scale really sort of lends itself to, like you said, it's almost not Lego-like anymore. I was thinking earlier, are there any studs exposed on the building at all?
It's pretty much studless, and that was that is just the way that I built. Although there are some exposed studs, but they are strictly on purpose, for decoration. So, for example, these ornaments above the top windows, those are studs because they were just
like an architectural decoration.
Right, exactly. So studs are used exclusively as a decorative element on this building.
That's beautiful. So at this scale, what is the biggest drawback? Is it just the sheer number of parts that you have to use? Is that the only drawback you can think of, maybe?
That is certainly one. And I like to say that the time that you, in a sense, save by having some parts which are easier to design technically, because you have more space that you can work behind the scenes, you don't have to squeeze things so much. All the time that you save by having less technically demanding or just technically challenging build is more than compensated for by the logistics of having to have more segments, having to be able to pack them right. So really, you don't really save any time. You just spend more time on logistics when it's really large than on some of the techniques. But I don't mean to minimize the techniques. You still need to go through all the techniques too, because many of these changes are half studs. So even on this scale, I'm working with half plate indentations or half stud indentations. So there is still some technical challenges here as well.
Now, how long did this take to build?
It took about 3.5 years.
And in the process of this, I was fortunate enough to kind of pay attention to some of your work on Flickr. So talk about sharing photos of like the works in progress, because it's so cool to kind of see someone working on something over a period of time and just putting pieces together, and then to see it in person, it feels like I've watched it grow somehow. Why do you share photos like that? Because I just think that's so cool.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and it is my pleasure to share pictures. I do it to show the people and my friends in my Lego club, in my lug, in Croatia, but also over the years I have gotten many followers on Flickr as well. So I have met already several people today who told me that they followed my building process, and so yes, in that sense, it is like meeting people whom you knew in some ways already. It does bring in kind of a whole other level friendship with people and just the connectivity between people. Yes.
Definitely. Now, you mentioned that you're from Croatia. The building's from Croatia, and I see you're wearing, this is the Croatian log, right?
Yes, indeed it is. Yes. Even though I live in this country, so I'm a college professor in New Jersey. I teach at Stockton University, and I teach marine science, specifically oceanography. But when I don't teach, then I play with Legos. And have been doing that for about 6 years now. Because I traveled to Croatia, I actually, for a number of kind of serendipitous reasons, became connected with some people over there. Indeed, one interesting part is that a building that was nominated for one of the best builds at Brickworld, I'm guessing this may have been about 6 or 7 years ago, was a building from a friend from Croatia who is in the Lego club there, and his last name is Grguric, the same last name as mine, even though we are not related. So we are not blood relatives, we are just Lego relatives or Lego friends. And it is good, and in some ways this is also a testimony to all of them, to my friends over there who have been giving me support as well over all the years.
Are there any plans to repatriate the building to Croatia?
Maybe, yes, that is certainly an option. The thing is, though, this exhibit in Chicago here, this Brickworld, is the first time that the building is being shown in public. So I would like to show it at least a few more exhibits in this country. At that point, perhaps we may think about shipping it over there.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Gordon, thank you so much for sharing with us. Wonderful build. Thank you for doing what you do and sharing it with the world.
You're quite welcome, and thank you too.